Yeah, let's talk about this one. So this one's called Benjamin Franklin Plumber. Kind of a catchy name you probably wouldn't forget once you see it, but this is one of those like non-sexy businesses that we really like. So it's been around since 2001. I think they converted to a franchise in 2010. I don't know for sure. It's been around for a while. Let's just say that. So they do plumbing services. They are part of Authority Brands umbrella. So Authority Brands is kind of similar to Neighborly. Authority Brands is an umbrella company that has about 15 different home services franchises underneath its umbrella. So a lot of buying power collectively as a network. There's referral relationships between franchisees, very stable financially. So there's some benefits to being part of the Authority Brands. And the other benefit is they do have like an HVAC franchise. They have a electrical franchise. So other franchises you could expand into as you grow your franchise empire. So it's cool that there's those other categories within that umbrella. But Benjamin Franklin is the plumbing one. Really like this one. They have, let's see, how many territories do they have now? If we keep scrolling. Yeah, 324 franchise units. So very, very well established. The total investment range is between 131 and 274. My understanding is that depends how quickly you add on another van and another plumber. So, they're going to help you hire that first certified plumber that carries the license you'll need. And then, from again, my understanding, within 3 to 6 months, you're going to hire another plumber because you'll have that person pretty busy. So, depending on when that timeline fits. So one plumber per van. The van comes equipped with all the stuff you need, all the equipment and inventory you need for the plumber to do their job. But it's a very systemized business. They have a software system that they built internally that is used amongst a lot of their different brands. And it's used from all the way from CRM, customer inquiry, to like doing the sales quotations to collecting payment. It's a pretty fully integrated suite of software, which is cool. And then when you add another brand, you're not, there's no learning curve. You're still using that same software. So Benjamin Franklin, like I said, does residential and commercial work. They do like installs, but mostly it's a lot of maintenance, drain cleaning, things like that. Let's look at the item 19 financial data. So they break it down by quartile. So I think we go to the fifth column there. Average gross revenue per territory in the top 25% is right around 2 million. Second quartile is doing 1.2 million. Third quartile is still doing pretty good, 756, and then it drops off quite a bit at the end. Again, we've mentioned this before, but I do think there are like some owners that are actually been plumbers and they convert into a Benjamin Franklin and still kind of do the daily plumbing work. So I imagine those are kind of the bottom 25%, but overall pretty strong numbers. You can see here, and it's an industry that it's always like, I really don't see how technology is going to disrupt the plumbing industry anytime soon. It's a need-based industry where something happens, you have to call a plumber and get it done. So, I like this one quite a bit. We have a couple people actually looking at this pretty far down the path at this point. But Tariq, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is like another, as we would call it, blue chip franchise. I mean, 324 franchise units, right? And something to clarify there, actually, this is, where I'm nerdy with all my detail stuff, but franchise units don't necessarily mean it's the franchisees. Like those are probably territories that they have. So maybe they have like 200 franchisees, if you have people that own 2, 3, or 4. But what's interesting, and just to highlight the number that was included in the subject line of the 3.7 million, you can see the highest gross revenue of territories, or the highest performing territory does 3.7 million. The reason why I highlight that, someone responded to something, one of our emails and our automations or something where you had an appointment set. I forget what it was, but he was like, the numbers you guys put in your emails, they never match up. And it's like, it's never, and I didn't understand the email. And sometimes, sometimes you just got to ignore what people say. By the way, as an entrepreneur, sometimes people just say things. But every time we quote a number, yes, we use a very attractive number. Why? Because we want to get your attention. I'm 100% unapologetic about that. I will use big ass numbers to get your attention. You sell them what they want, give them what they need. You're going to be attracted by the big number, and then we're going to show you the breakdown and give you all of the goods. So you guys are busy, man. If it put, average second quartile owner does 1.1 million, like you'd be like, dude, that sounds boring.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty
but you haven't looked at, yeah, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I'm always gonna throw the highest number out there in the subject line, but this is, keep in mind, that's one territory. So to me, what's interesting, and most people buying service brands, they're oftentimes they're going to get two or three. I mean, you can certainly start off with one, but like that's pretty solid for just one territory. I can tell you this: if you want to build an empire, if you want to build something great, it's not going to happen with one territory, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Unless you just so happen to get in one of those franchises where, and as an anomaly in that one senior care franchise where you had one person in a territory doing $24 million in sales. I don't even know how that's possible. I can't even wrap my head around that. I'd love to understand that person's like business and how it breaks down overall. But anyways, that's my rambling that I'm doing. But it seems like a solid opportunity overall. Been around a long time, owned by a parent company that has a lot of resources. I feel like these are the franchise opportunities that you have to have a certain personality style for this brand and for other brands. Like, so I know we've had people recently that have got into like a more emerging franchisor, but it seemed like their personality fit well with that. Like some of you guys would do terrible in an emerging franchisor. You would hate it, because although there's a little bit more room and bandwidth, you'd be like, they're not telling me every single thing that I need to know. And whereas a brand like this, I mean, a lot of that shit's figured out already by this point. After what, 30 years?
Yeah.
Or 15. Well, I guess. Hold on. When did they? Oh, founded. Okay, 20 years, 23 years. Was there anything else to hit on here?
God, I just had a thought in my head and I lost it. Oh, I know you don't like a ton of semi-passive opportunities, but this is one that does kind of allow for semi-passive ownership. And it is, you do, it does make sense because a lot of times most of the jobs, the plumbers are going out doing the quote, like doing the actual work, collecting payment. So they're almost like serving their own little, like they're monitoring their own schedule. Like you have to obviously manage them at a high level, but it is a little bit different type of business. So,
and by the way, it's not that I don't believe in semi-passive. I think a lot of it's expectations.
yeah,
It's like the wrong expectations being set. And I think what from an individual standpoint, that's the franchise buyer. What you need to know is if you go into a franchise in the semi-passive model, your startup costs will be higher and you will probably make less margin, which is okay because you're still keeping your full-time job. But just know that like you're going to have to, if you're not the person in the day-to-day managing and overseeing this operation, someone has to be, and you're probably going to pay them a salary. And there's probably going to be somewhere between 50 grand and 100 grand a year, depending upon the type of business. Right. And so I definitely think it's out there. I get frustrated when people are like, oh yeah, I'm only going to work 10 hours a week and I'm expecting it to be like smooth sailing. And I want to hit 20% profit margins. And it's like, well, like maybe you should go full time in the business then. If that's what you're trying to do.
yeah. Or some of these brands will say like, oh yeah, we have a investor model where corporate will manage everything for you. And it's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that makes me nervous too.
Yeah.
What else here?
I don't know. I didn't really go through some of this stuff here, but if you were interested in reading about it, I mean, like I said, they do have buying power. So collectively as a network, you're going to get probably discounts from their suppliers and things like that. Very stable industry. I mean, I don't know how much more stable you can get than plumbing. It is plumbing and HVAC, I feel like, are two of the more stable industries, out there in terms of franchises.
Yeah, and two quick stories on plumbing for me. Number one was this was about, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, and went to just turn off the shower handle, and it was just like you felt something snap on the inside, and so then the whole thing like moved. I was able to turn it, and now it turned like really easy. Like I could have just spun it with my finger, and and the water was still running. I was like, crap. So I had to turn off the water main. And this happened during the kids' bedtimes. So this happened at night. So I had to turn off the water main because that wasn't turning off. So I'd turn off the water main. You know, plumber came the next day. Literally, the guy, and it probably was something like, am I handy? I think generally I can be handy with more technical stuff like that. Probably not, but like whatever. I put stuff together in the house or um but I'm not a DIYer, and nor do I want to be, because as an entrepreneur, like you want to what do you want to spend your time doing? You want to pay someone to like fix your faucet, or you want to spend 5 hours trying to figure it out yourself? How do you value your time? Anyways, so the plumber guy comes, and it's like an easy thing. They know the part. I actually looked it up on YouTube, and then it's like, hey, when you have this issue, it's this part, whatever. I was like, I'm definitely not attempting to fix that myself, though. And he comes, and then literally, like, what was it, like a few minutes later, like he comes down, like it was like 7 minutes. He's like, yeah, I was like, oh, do you have a question? He's like, no, I'm all done. I was like, you're done? He's like, yeah. It was like I mean, he was not in the bathroom for not more than 10 minutes, and I'm like, oh, sweet, cool. And he's like, cool, yeah. I like whenever you're ready, I'll take the payment. I'm like, all right, how much is it? He's like, it was like $340. The part had to. I think the part was like a $25-$30 part. You know, so like that dude just made some money. And it just shows, like, I didn't want to pay the $340, but I did. And that happens all the time. Our hot water heater, there was one of the nuts that connect the two pipings. Somehow it got a crack in the nut, and it was just like a little stream of water just shooting. And I didn't see it for like a week. And all of a sudden there's just like water flowing through the garage. Anyways, I try to wrap some of that special like water seal tape around it. That didn't work. It was just like, oh my goodness. Um, and this happened over the weekend. They didn't have anyone that could come until, Monday. And so the guy comes and basically is like, okay, it's going to be 400. It was going to be like 400 something bucks to replace and to repair it or replace it. And it was going to be like 2 grand. But it was the hot water heater was 9 years old, and the lifespan on hot water heaters are like 10 years.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I might as well just pay the 2 grand to replace it. So there we go. Twice a plumbing company got me for,
Yeah.
$2,500. So the
So
opportunity's out there.
there's so many applications. It's like this is great for people who have a strong operations and like customer service background and they don't want to do sales because it's not like a super sales heavy like type of business to run. It's more about being responsive, following the system, like investing in the marketing that you need to. I mean, I like plumbing businesses a lot. So the guy in Omaha where I live, he owns a 1 hour heating and air, and he recently added this one, Benjamin Franklin. So now
Oh,
he
really? Oh,
HVAC
interesting.
and plumbing. Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice. He'll kill it then.
yeah.